What is going on, my Houston Texans family? We made another great move in for agency, but it came via trade. The Houston Texans will be acquiring right guard Shaq Mason from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They will also be sending us a 6th-round pick, and in return, the Houston Texans will be sending them a 7th-round pick. Now, this comes from Tom Pelissero, so shout out to him for breaking the news. And the Houston Texans did something that we've been wanting them to do ever since the start of free agency. That is to invest and build in the offensive line. We talked about center and right guard being very huge for the Houston Texans, and they just addressed the right guard position. Shaq Mason was a top 10 guard in the league. He played all 17 games, a career high in snaps, only allowed 1 sack, 2 penalties. This is probably the best right guard we have had in years. But before we get into this trade and break down what this means for the Houston Texans, welcome everyone to the 713 Houston Sportcast. I am your host, Ruben Calvillo. We drop daily Houston Texans content here, and as you know, there is news consistently dropping, so make sure you guys are tuned in and subscribed and hit that bell notification because it is going to be exciting times for this Houston Texans team. Now, this is an A-plus trade for me because you really didn't give up anything. And according to Aaron Wilson and Patrick Storm, the Houston Texans and Shaq Mason are already talking about an extension and being here for a number of years for the Houston Texans. Why I really like this trade is because you think about the leadership and veteran aspect of it. We are being, heard about these rumors of Laremy Tunsil potentially leaving. I don't think that's true. But you want someone to lead this interior offense line because it was just god-awful last year. Kenyon Green had an up-and-down rookie season. The center position was Justin Britt and Scott Quisenberry. Justin Britt only played for 1 game until he retired. And at right guard, it was A.J. Kent, who, in my opinion, did pretty good. But this was a scenario where we said, yeah, we could see the Houston Texans beefing up the right guard. And that's exactly what they did. I've already mentioned it. A career high in snaps, 1 sack allowed, 2 penalties for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Shaq Mason was a top 10 guard this year and one of the best run blocking guards in the NFL. And you just only think about the production that is going to come from Dameon Pierce. We've seen 31 behind a very bad Houston Texans offensive line, and imagine what he could do with the good one. Also, number 2 has to be protected, whether it's C.J. Stroud or whether it's Bryce Young. If you have concerns about Bryce Young, well, you are jumping off the walls that the Houston Texans traded for Shaq Mason because he only allowed 1 sack. This is huge, and this is very good for the Houston Texans to me because Shaq Mason, he is going to be coaching the center who you're going to have to draft. You didn't sign Garrett Bradbury. You didn't sign Jake Brendel or Bradley Bozeman, and all of those dudes signed for very cheap. So Shaq Mason is not only going to have to help mentor the center, but he's going to have to also help mentor right tackle Titus Howard, who is going to be playing next to him because now Shaq Mason is the best guard that Titus Howard has played with, right? You love that this is a veteran edition, but in a veteran edition where the guy is damn good at football, right? This isn't a scenario where you're waiting to see what he can do. There's some potential there. No, Shaq Mason was one of the best guards in football, and it's right guard where the Houston Texans definitely needed to upgrade that. I am excited. I'm thinking about, who else we are going to bring in. And I know a lot of fans are very upset that the Houston Texans haven't really gone out there and got the quality, right? The big names that we were hoping, because this is the first time the Houston Texans had money in a number of years. But I think you have to trust the process here and see where else the Houston Texans are going to go. Because honestly, I do like the Jimmy Ward signings. I do like the Shaq Mason trade. The other ones are just filling the holes. This Houston Texans team needs so many, needs help all around both sides of the ball. So it was interesting to see how the Houston Texans approach free agency this year. And then it makes you wonder, what are they going to do next year, right? Next year, they're supposed to have $130 million to mess around with. I don't want to see them spread the money around. I want to see them go after wins. This was something that, a lot of fans were kind of upset about, right? The trajectory of excitement was going all the way up until, your only 2 signings are really Jimmy Ward and Shaq Mason, which I am fine with. Both immediate starters, immediate improvement, both leaders on this team. I like that. However, you guys let me know how you feel about the Shaq Mason trade. As always, go Houston Texans. Man, you guys have a very blessed day.